Hello all. I'm back with where I left yesterday, and we were talking about filtration. So let's continue from there, I guess, and we'll start focusing on the expand one where we left yesterday. Sorry for the confusion, but it I didn't want to make the video longer, so I took that decision to kind of pause at a certain time. But okay, no problems. We'll get back there. So before we get back there, I just figured out that I found in news that our friend Postman is now also available in VS Code. So today I thought let's also utilize that. So go to your extension management and search for Postman, and you will see that the Postman is here, and you can install it from here, which brings you the power of the whole Postman inside Business Central. So if you are in love with Postman, your best friend Postman is now available with VS Code. So you don't have to switch your windows when you're working on it. You can just do everything within your VS Code. So it seems to be installed, and once it is installed, you'll see an icon here called Postman on your left hand navigation bar. And then it'll ask you to connect your VS Code with Postman. You can hit sign in. It'll take you to a website where I'm on the other website, on the other tab on my computer. But you just need to verify your account, and once you do that, it will redirect you back to VS Code to authorize that you're connected. It's still kind of work in progress, but you can see whatever queries that we made yesterday are available here. I can see my workspaces here, so I can switch back between different workspaces. The collections are here. Oh, but it seems collection is still work in progress. Hopefully, we'll see that sooner than later. And then environment is also coming soon. Okay, not a problem. I guess we'll be good there. And then you can make a new request from here. Okay. So today we'll be using the Postman inside VS Code. Just FYI. Okay. So let's get back to where we were. We were on the customer API. Yeah. And we were talking about the expand feature. And just to kind of take everybody back to where we were, I'll just open the customers API in the Postman. It's called customers. So let's come here and let's do a new request. Let's paste it in here. These are my detail, and hopefully this should work. Okay. Oh, it did not take my authentication. Let me try changing it, and it does not. Let me try going to yesterday, whatever we were doing, so that we can see where we were. Okay. So we were doing something here. I'll change this to customers. When I do that, it gives me a customer or all the customers that are there. So if you notice here, it is giving me all the details um, till the point I am last modified date time. So let's look at it, which is this. So I can see everything here on my customers, but I cannot see anything which is something called as this, something called as picture, something called as default dimensions, and so on and so forth. And to access this, that's where our friend expand comes into the picture. So let's try expanding this request using a dollar expand, and then using the name of that parameter. So let's say if I want to see the default dimensions, let's see the default dimensions of it. Let's do SN. This time you'll notice that when you come here, if the default dimension exists for that record, it kind of get expanded. So now I can see that for the customer number 1000, not just the basic detail, but I can also see the dimension that are attached to it, which is department sales, customer group medium, and area 30. And that will happen for each and every record that is written here. So that's how you use expand. But that's not that. I guess we were talking about a question that would have popped in your mind that yes, Saurabh, you are showing me in by opening the source code of an extension and telling me which parts are available. I don't want to do that, which makes sense. You should not be doing that. And think of another situation where you are giving it to an external party. They don't have access to the business central source code, and they should not be coming here and seeing all the implementation detail of your API. They just should be able to see somehow the metadata of the API that you have exposed from business central. So let's try to understand how you give that access. So for that, let's go back to our Postman and let's go back to our initial stage, which is here. This is our root URL. Once you hit in the root URL, you get all these API endpoints, which are published by Microsoft at this moment. Now in this, there should be a way that I should be able to see that what a company offer. Are there any different type of fields? In future, when we do um, use this API to write data back into Business Central, the external entity should know what is the data type of it, how big the length is supported, what are mandatory and what are optional parameter to this endpoint. So for that, what you need to do here at the end, you need to add a dollar and metadata. When you do a dollar metadata, it'll show you result of the metadata of all the APIs that are available in Business Central. Okay, let's try to understand that. This is entity metadata. I don't think I need it. And is there a way to, oh, it collapses everything. So can I do, and I'm thinking right now, can I search for, let's say, customer? This is member, this is NM, this is member. Okay, we'll come to this in a while, understand what these different things are. But let's try to find the record of customer. Okay, here we are. The entity name is customer. Okay, now if you notice, this is coming as XML. Can I change it to JSON? And let me copy this. I don't want to search this again, hopefully. But if it is JSON, then it'll change. Let's try to see that JSON. But this does not convert itself to JSON. I read somewhere that you can actually do a format here. I don't know will that work or not, but let me try that. So I'm doing the format of JSON. See what happens. I do send the request and I get the JSON. So if you are familiar with JSON, then you can do a question mark dollar format JSON. If you are okay in reading XML, then you can utilize the XML view, which comes without the dollar question mark dollar JSON in the picture. Now everything will change for sure. So what I'm looking for is again customer. Okay, and as I said, it'll change. This is navigation property. I don't need that. We'll come to that in a while. Okay, so this is the entity customer. Okay, now let me try to collapse this. What happens when I collapse this? Okay, now I get customer financial, age, account, contact information, contact, and then the vendor entity starts. Okay, this is my collection for customer. Let me copy this into a notepad or maybe into a JSON. Let me create a new file, text file. Okay, let me paste it in here. Okay, now let's assume you'd like your external party to know what a customer entity need, right? So now here you see the key is defined as ID. So that means that ID field, in this case of customer, is kind of the primary key of this. What type of ID is? The type ID is of type GUID. Then the next field that you get is the number. And let's come back here, the number field. What is the number field? Number field is nullable true. You can keep it blank. And the maximum length that will support is 20. Display name is maximum length 100, and so on and so forth. So this metadata of my API will help my external parties also to see what is mandatory, what is not mandatory, what is the maximum length of it, can I keep it empty or no, right? So that's how you utilize the dollar metadata to read the schema set rather than going into source code and see, oh, I don't know what parts are here and let me identify this. When you come down here, you see these different properties which are of type, of kind, navigation property. Now what a navigation property is, that it's is part. Okay, so when you look at currency, I'm pretty sure that the currency would be a part somewhere here. Hopefully I don't see it, but I think I should see it somehow. Let me search for it. Currency. It's a field currency, and then currency code. Okay, let's go next. No, nothing. But why it is saying there's a navigation property to currency? Can I actually navigate to it is the question. So we'll check that in a while. Let's try that. Can I actually, like, if you look at here, I can actually see that there is a default dimension and I can navigate to it. Okay. There's an age account receivable, which is a part, and I can navigate to it or expand it. Contact information, again, I can expand it, and document attachment and so on and so forth. But I'm not sure about the currency. So let me see, can I actually expand currency by utilizing the URL that I had? Let me see. Okay, and can I expand currencies? Okay, okay, so it says currency null. It says currency null. There's no currency into it. That's weird. There's no currency code. Let's see what else is here in the navigation. I should be able to do the payment term. So let's go back and do a payment term. Now here there is a payment term. Now how these are not even not the part, but they are expandable. Let's understand it from here. When you look at these kind of items, not this one, but payment term, anything that is expandable is actually associated with an ID. So payment term gets an ID, and that's how you can utilize it to expand, because an ID, it actually points to a record in the payment term table with the unique ID of that payment term. So if you remember our past discussions, we did talk about that in version 17. Microsoft added the system ID, so each record gets a unique ID. In the same way, the records and payment term table, each of those records have a unique ID, and that's what makes it expandable. Okay, but that's what we are not discussing here. What we are discussing is, if you have to identify what need to be expanded, then always go back to your root URL and then search for your dollar metadata, which then will give you the metadata of the all the APIs that you have. Now I was thinking about it right now, that can I actually limit it to the entity that I want, and I have no clue. So let me see, because I might not want to search for all the APIs that are there. I would just like to look for the record that I need. I don't think it's possible, but if you know that it is possible, let us know into the comment section so that other can utilize your knowledge, that how can I limit what will get expanded? Is it just one record, sorry, one particular endpoint that I can see the metadata? So hopefully you get the picture that how you know what need to be expanded. The two kind of properties that can be expanded. One, anything that is associated with a ID on that particular main record. Where we saw in customer, there's a currency ID, there's a payment term ID. Those are the first kind of record that can be expanded, like text area ID here, right? The other thing that get expanded is anything that is added at a part, as a part. Now, what best than utilizing and expand in some places and see what happens? So let's go ahead and look for, let's look for sales orders. Okay, sales order. Okay, entity name, sales order. In the sales order, I have all these parameters, fields with different data type and length, and then I can expand the customer ID, the dimension value at the header, the currency, the payment term, anything with the navigation property, that means that can be expanded, the shipment method, dimension set lines, sales order lines, so I can actually see the header and the lines together, the attachment and the document attachments also. Okay, so let's actually create a new request rather than overwriting this one. Let me try to open a new request. Let's utilize this. Okay, so here what I'm doing now is I'm trying to open all the sales order with APIs. Here it is. So this is just a default sales order where all the fields which are collapsed, sorry, which are not expandable will be visible like these. If I have to see one particular record, then we know, and we saw that in the API, that it is the ID is the primary key. So if I just want to see this sales order 10015 and I don't want to see others, just to remove clutter, what I can do is I can filter out the sales order with the ID. And when you do, then you just do a single bracket like we have done for companies. When you do that, it'll just show you one sales order. So now we are at one sales order and we would like to expand. So let's do a question $expand and then let's do the sales order lines. How I know that? By just looking at that metadata. Okay, when I do that, I get the header and then I get each and every line. Oh, there's only one line into it. So maybe I'll remove the filter for the order and I'll pick someone which have multiple lines. Okay. 1005 only have one line, 1009 have two lines. Okay. So let's pick the 1009 one. How I pick this? I copy the ID of that particular record and place it in my URL. I said, now I see the header and I also see the line number 1 and the line number 2. So there are two lines. But you're like, ah, Saurabh, that all looks good. But what if I also would like to see the dimension attached to the sales header at that moment? Should I just, can I expand only one record or only one part? Not actually. You can do a comma and do a dimension value. Hit enter. It'll show you the header, then the dimensions of the header, and then it'll start the sales order line because dimensions are attached to the header section. If you have to also see the currency into it, you can just go ahead and add the word currency. I'll show you the header, the header currency, if there is any. Yes, there is. The header dimensions, and then all the lines associated to it, which is line number 1, and line number 2. So in the same request or in the same query, when you're making to an API, you can do multi-level expand. You can expand multiple parts into it or multiple IDs into it. So that's how you can utilize the expand. Now let's think about mm, what happens if I only would like to see some of the lines. We learned some of the filter parameters yesterday. Now what I would like to see that let's see, let's figure out something. Shipped quantity 2, here we have shipped quantity 1. Okay. Now I would like to see anything which have a shipped quantity equal to 1. Now understand the difference. What we are saying right now that we would like to filter out a part into the main query rather than using that part as it is directly. How you can do that where you would like to filter out the part associated with the main page and then filter that records. So let's go here at the end, and here we have the sales order line. So you can utilize everything that you learned yesterday by adding a bracket, and inside that you can apply our old friend called filter, and in the filter you can define what you want to filter. So let's say I would like to filter the ship quantity, so I'll copy that, I'll go back here, and I'll say for the sales order line, make sure that I only see the shipped quantity equal to 1. Remember, right now there are two lines, line number 2, 20,000, and line number 10,000. As soon as I run this, it will filter the sales order line part and will only show me the records which meet this condition. Okay, and I get an error message that the dollar filter cannot be applied. Maybe I applied it wrong. Let's go back. Oh, I forgot. See, that's what happens when you don't work on it on the same day. I have to apply an equal to tell it that it's a filter. Okay. The result came, the header came, the dimension of the header came, the currency of the header came, and then the sales order line, you are only able to see one line where the shipped quantity is 1. So you can actually filter it out based even at the subpart level based on your need by utilizing our old friend which we learned yesterday, the dollar filter inside the part. And the same you can do here in the dimensions. Maybe not at the header dimension, but what if my sales order line also have some parts? Possible? And let's look at that. Let me come back here, and I'm taking this easy and not going into the design because I'll have to change URLs and all. But if I look at the sales order lines, this is my sales order, this is my sales order line. I'm pretty sure there will be some parts into it. Okay, here they are. There is a dimension set lines also there. There is location ID and other things already there. But what if I would like to expand some dimension set lines for my lines also, because that's how I'll be able to see them. So what you do here is you go back onto the same URL, and sorry if it is getting pretty crazy, but that's the idea, to make it a little bit crazy at this point. Then inside the sales order line, and I'll apply the filter later if needed. What I'm trying to do here is inside this, I would like to expand. How we do expand? Dollar expand is equal to whatever that parameter name or the part name is. So I'm saying the sales order expands the sales order line, which then in turn also expands the dimension set lines, and then it expands the header, dimension value, and currency. So let's do a run. What we are doing now, we see that header, we see the header dimensions, we see the header currency, we see the line number 10,000, and after the line number 10,000 we also see the dimension attached to that line number 10,000, which is department, sales, and the other one is customer group is small, and area as 40, and salesperson as OF. And the same will happen for the line number 2, that we'll be able to see the dimensions that are attached to line number 2. So you can utilize expand recursively based on what your conditions are, and that all is okay. Now let's say, just to give you an example, I just want to see the department dimension. So I've already expanded the dimension here, which is this expand dimension set lines. Now inside this, so from the sales order, we expanded sales line. And in the sales line, we expanded dimension value. Now on the expanded dimension set line, sorry if it is getting confused, I'm trying to apply a filter of, let's say, where the code is department. Now how you do that? You again utilize our friend bracket, and again here do a dollar filter, my friend, equal to code equal to eq. What is that code? Department, department. Okay, I'm going a little bit crazy, but that's what I'm trying to explain you, that the power that you have with the expand. So we get the header, sales header, we get the header dimensions, we get the header currency, then we get the each and every line that's there with this. And then for each line, we get dimension set lines, but only with the code department. We don't see other dimensions that are attached to it. So what I'm trying to explain you, and let me copy this in a notepad or somewhere else. Let me do it here. Okay. Now let's understand this. This is my base URL. Then I added my company parameter, which is as simple as that. Then I filtered out the sales order that I would like to see. And then in that, I would like to expand sales order line. With in turn, I would like to expand dimension set line. And inside that, I would like to apply a filter of department. And then going forward, I would also like to expand dimension value and the currency. So what I'm doing, I'm saying give me a sales order, expand it lines. In the line, expand the dimension set line, and within the dimension set line, apply a filter for code equals to department, and then go back and also expand at the header level dimension value and currency. So you can actually utilize expand and other filters that we learned yesterday to a point where you you can expand it based on your needs. You're not limited to saying, oh, you can only do it at one level. You will not be able to use them together, other parameters that you have learned. So hopefully making a separate video on expand makes sense. So before we leave, we'll do a summary of what we learned about all these parameters, right? And then we'll call it a day otherwise. The first thing that we did is filter, which we also use today. What it does, it filters the result. So when you apply a dollar filter, it is actually limiting how many records you will get based on whatever filter you apply, right? When you use a dollar select, it filters your column. The result will be complete, all the records will be written, but if you use a dollar select, you can choose which fields per record you would like to see. That I would like to see field number 1, 5 and 7, not 1, 5 and 7, but the names. So that helps, that you can get with the dollar select. Then order by is another important one that we learned, which helps you to define the order in which these fields are correct, which for a business central or an app developer, you can relate it to the key. So it kind of applying a key on the result record set, and the shorting is done based on the dollar order by. The dollar top sets the page size, how many records you want to see, the top two, the top three, top five, so on and so forth. The dollar skip allows you to skip certain records. Uh, I would like to skip first three records, and you can do that with dollar skip. The dollar count gives you a total count of record, and this is the only one till now what we have discussed where you don't apply a question mark, because dollar count will return you the number of record that are there. So you don't have to apply a question mark. In all of these, before applying this, you'll have to apply a question mark. So the whole command is question mark dollar filter, question mark dollar select, question mark dollar order by, question mark dollar top, question mark dollar skip, and only dollar count, because that just returns you the count. You are not setting up anything on that. And today we talked about the expand, which is around related records. The records which are related to this particular record and how you can expand it. Which two records you can expand? Anything that is added as a subpart or added as an ID. And how you check that? You go into the metadata of the APIs and then see anything that is set with the navigation property. You can see your metadata in XML format or in JSON format. The filtering capabilities that we have learned yesterday are all can be utilized within the dollar $expand parameter. You can recursively expand sub items, and in each sub item, if needed, you can apply different filters. And I'm pretty sure you are more creative than me to try out other parameters of this. So hopefully that makes sense, and you now are empowered with how to use different filters in the API. Now, what you are going to cover next is maybe how you add new records into Business Central using the APIs. Now, if you have any queries, any suggestions, please drop them into the comments. Your comments and your feedback help me to kind of make these video better day by day. If you like the content and if you enjoyed what a dollar expand can do, please hit the like button. Please share it if you think it will help others to understand the power of APIs and power, especially the power of dollar expand within the API. If you are new to this channel, I'll highly encourage you to subscribe to this channel. It doesn't take less than it takes less than a minute for you, but it helps us to kind of keep working on this direction. So, with the promise of coming back sooner than later, I'll leave it for the day, and I'll come back and I'll be waiting for your comments and suggestion into this video. Thank you. Have a nice day.